Boy, does it feel so good to be able to do that once again. Yo, what's up, world? Welcome back to the channel. APW Sports signing back in, and it feels so good to be able to do a Chicago Bear reaction video. Y'all don't know how happy I am that football season is back, but before I get into my reactions, I just want to thank you guys for the love, support, and prayers that you've shown me and my family over the course of me losing my granddad a couple of days ago. Love you guys from the bottom of my heart, and I really appreciate you guys' love and support during this trying and tough time through my family. But I did get some relief as Bears football is back. They take their first preseason win, 20-13 over the Miami Dolphins. And I got a lot to say about this game. Justin Fields, the offense, the defense, all that. I'm going to talk about all that. But before I do, leave this video a like. That helps the channel to grow. And click that subscribe button and notification bell if you haven't. But without further ado, let's dive into it.
I'm striving to get rich. That's why I almost went 2 years without buying shoes and fits. Things change now. My mom hearing me with my music and she look a little proud.
Now, of course, everybody's going to want to know what I feel about Justin Fields' performance in this game, but I will get into that a little bit later in this video. The first thing I want to touch on is one thing that I really kept my eye on throughout the course of this game, and especially in the early parts, is how the Bears secondary will look. Now, look, I've been one to say that Kyle Fuller's release was a little bit of a mistake, but nonetheless, that's over with. I was looking to see how this secondary will perform. We all know Eddie Jackson and Tashawn Gibson were out of the lineup, so that kind of made it a little bit of a different look. But as far as the corners go, I think the Bears still need a little bit more of improvement. Trufant didn't play either, but I just believe that if any part of this Bears defense is going to be a little bit of a soft spot, the secondary is it. Now, I know I'm a big guy on Jalen Johnson, and the second corner spot, I think, is still a very open competition, even with Vildor, Shelley, Trufant himself, and even Graham, which they drafted in this past draft. But my thoughts on this secondary is it still needs a little bit more work. I think they need to be a little bit more, aggressive as far as coverage goes, because we've seen some plays where Tua in the Miami offense was able to get some good throws off on this defense. Now, the front seven, I think it's very solid. Alec Ogletree, I think, could be a really good steal in that free agent pickup market, as he was just recently signed, and I believe he could be a very solid player, assuming he makes the roster, of course, which I think he will. But I think his experience, and he dropped some weight, I really believe that Alec Ogletree could be a real good steal for this Bears defense. The front seven gets Eddie Goldman back, Bilal Nichols. You still have Akeem Hicks. I believe that this Bears D-line has a lot of depth. The linebacker position has some depth with Christian Jones and the aforementioned Alec Ogletree. Robert Quinn and Khalil Mack did receive some snaps, but I believe on the first team, maybe second team defense, secondary, I think can be a little bit better. That was one spot I was looking at coming into this game, is how they would perform. I wasn't too concerned with the front seven. Of course, Roquan, Danny Trevathan, none of those guys played, so you can't really get a full gauge of it. But I think the front seven of the Bears is going to be a strong point in this defense, and they will be fine going into the regular season. And the main thing is this Bears offense, and that's the main point of this video and then my reaction that I wanted to talk about. The first string offense, I've seen so many people on Twitter immediately calling for Andy Dalton's head, immediately wanting Andy Dalton out of there. Now, I understand the hype on Justin Fields. Hello, I have the jersey. I understand the hype on Fields, but we have to realize, guys, as Bear fans, it's just the preseason. It's week 1. Relax. There were so many Bear fans calling for his head after an 3-and-out on the first drive during the first game of the preseason. Relax. Now, we all know Andy Dalton is going to eventually make way for Fields. I'll get into Fields a little bit later, but I believe that the Bears are doing this right. Have Andy Dalton start, unless something drastically happens throughout the course of this preseason. Andy Dalton had to find some rhythm, just like Fields did, and this offense has to find rhythm, period. Because in the first couple of series, it looks like that offense did not find their rhythm. Now, of course, you're going into this with a makeshift offensive line. The offensive line is not fully healthy. You have a lot of injuries, but they, for the most part, had a solid game. The offensive line had a solid game. And as for Nagy, I did have a couple of tweets talking about his play calling, and I'm not a fan of it. I wasn't a fan of it last year. I wasn't a fan of it in 2019. It still seems like Matt Nagy abandons the run game. And it really looked like that in the first half. Because I tweeted a stat with he had 16 pass calls to only 3 runs. There's no way you're going to win football games that way. No way. But I just believe that the Bears need to run the football more. Now, we'll get more on Montgomery's injury if it's anything substantial, because we did see him limp off the field in the first half. But this offense, I think it needs to be led by the running game. Even if Fields, or whenever Fields starts, even with Andy Dalton, you have to have a productive run game. Of course, you're not going to have a lot of it with Montgomery only playing at 1 play, 1 carry. Cohen is still out. Damian Williams, I did like some of the things that I've seen from him. Of course, penalties cost a couple of his runs, and I'll get into that. But the Bears have to run the football more. Nagy has to not neglect the run game and run the football more. Because 16-3 in the first half, it's not going to cut it. Especially when you don't. I don't think the Bears are built like an extreme pass-happy team. You have to have some sort of balance. Now, of course, you're going to throw the football a little bit more than you run. That's in today's league, but I just believe that the Bears need to run the football more than what they have in the past. 16-3 in the first half, it's not going to cut it. And I'm not cutting those 2 Justin Fields carries in the first half because those are not designed runs. So I'm not going to count that. But as far as this offense goes, Dalton, he didn't play the best, but you got to think about Miami's defense. Miami has a very, very, very good defense. They are really loaded at the secondary spot. So Miami's defense is very good. They did very well against the Bears in a good moments of the first half. So I think the more rhythm that Andy Dalton gets in live game action, because you're coming off of scrimmages and joint practices, but it's not live game action with your guys and your core. So relax. I think Andy Dalton will be just fine. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to be a world beater, but he will be fine. Relax. It's the preseason. We can't overreact to Andy Dalton not necessarily having the greatest showing in the first preseason game, in game action, his first live action. And he's a different type of quarterback and athlete than Justin Fields. So we have to relax on that. And the main point of this video, and the main thing that all of us were looking forward to and looking to see how it worked, was with Justin Fields. Now, the first couple of series, Justin Fields, he was still making good throws. He was still making good reads, proper reads. But for me, as an Ohio State fan, and me watching every single one of his games in college, Justin Fields is a quarterback that he has to get his rhythm before things get going. He's not one of those quarterbacks that just comes in and dynamic right away. He has to feel the game out. He has to process the information. And once he starts to feel the rhythm, once he starts to get things going, he is a very special talent. Now, the stat line, if you guys been previously on my channel, I am not a big statistics guy. I'm not big on the stat sheet. So I'm not even going to bring it up. I'm not big on stat sheets because numbers, they may never lie, but they don't tell the full story. I'm an eye test guy. So I'm not going to even bring up the stat sheet when it comes to Justin Fields' performance. But from the eye test, you see his athleticism. You see that Matt Nagy called a good amount of bootlegs to, number one, take advantage of that athleticism. And Justin Fields was able to make completely good throws on the run. Justin Fields is special. I've been preaching about this ever since last year. Before last year started, I wanted the Bears to get Justin Fields. Justin Fields is a very special quarterback and a very special talent. And he's shown some of that during this first preseason game. Now, I'm not going to get too overboard and say start him week 1. I am not one of those fans. I'm not one of those people that's going to say that. I still believe, despite his good performance, despite him being very accurate with the football, making good decisions, despite that fumble, which he'll get that corrected and he has to tuck the football in more, Justin Fields had a very solid game for his rookie debut in the preseason. He looked very solid. He was making throws on the run. He was able to lead this offense, and especially that drive coming out of the first half, he looked very, very poised. He looked very calm, and you see the talent and you see how special he is going forward. With the rushing touchdown, that's just another dynamic to Justin Fields' game, is that he's very athletic, and he looked very solid against this Dolphins defense. And he was able to pick some throws. He made that back shoulder throw to Adams, which I think was an absolute beautiful throw. And Adams really got up and made a good catch on it. And I just truly believe that at some point we will see Justin Fields this season, but pump the brakes. We're not going to push him to start right away. It's not the way to go. As much as he looked really, really good against the Dolphins this game, relax. It's the preseason. The preseason is for guys to get reps in live game action, correct mistakes, see what they can do, see what they're not good at. I'm not going to be one of those fans that overreacts to this game and says Justin Fields has to start week 1. I'm not that fan. I'm not that guy. So, overall, the Bears played a very good game, especially in that second half. Justin Fields showed some spurts of how special he can be. Don't start him right away. A lot of fans are going to say we need him to start week 1. Unless something drastic happens, I don't believe it. Justin Fields, solid, and he was very impressive in his rookie debut as a Chicago Bear in the NFL. Overall grade for this Bears team this preseason game, I'm going to give them a B because, number one, it's a preseason. And two, they were able to make some adjustments at the half. The later string guys were able to get things going. Justin Fields really impressed in that second half and showed why the Bears moved up to that 11th overall pick to draft him. He looked special. But like I said, relax on him. Take things slow. So the Bears win this game 20-13 to go to 1-0 on this preseason at home, where we finally got to see fans in Soldier Field. That is a lovely sight, something we haven't seen in 2 years, and it's great. It's absolutely great to have football back. But that's all I have. Make sure you guys leave this video a like. Comment your thoughts on the game down below. And make sure you click that subscribe button and notification bell. We are so close to hitting 2,000 subscribers. And I want to appreciate you guys for showing me love and support during this trying time. But I am APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe. Have a great and excellent day. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.